Good evening and welcome to it. This is Chess and Wine for yet another time. But here again, asking for your assistance, obviously, as we've got a lot of people around us. Here with us in the community, of course, who are chess players, who understand a lot of chess rules, who have been administrators, arbiters, and all sorts, and all sorts of things. Obviously, all sorts of expertise are welcome, but obviously, it's an opinion-based issue that needs everybody to come for, because I know that it's something that is happening in many other regions, and obviously, with you coming together as a community, chess community, you could help resolve it. Obviously, it's something that's happening in the Western Province, and already there's coaches on this one side who are concerned, and there's obviously administrators, the executive board that have come up with a solution to a problem that they've also identified, and there's players on the other side who are also feeling that this is maybe limiting to them, but without obviously the full understanding of why this is being done. So basically it's an issue of whether it's an issue of protecting some certain players' ratings or an issue of increasing the points gained by players who are playing in certain sections for the Grand Prix. But what's happening right now is that obviously we know that obviously you coach, you train players, you take them to a tournament. Your plan is that they win tournament, or they win, even if they don't win the tournament, that they win games to gain ratings so that they move up and up, right? And obviously, moving up and up in terms of ratings opens up some opportunities for certain players, especially as per their age groups. That's what we all know, right? Yes, but also there is the issue of now certain players not being able to get enough opportunities to play rated tournaments, right? So without enough opportunities to play rated tournaments, most players don't they don't get a chance to increase the opportunity to increase their ratings. They can improve their play, they can get better at the skills, but still remain rated 400, 500, or 600, depending on the ratings of the players that they're playing against. So some club tournaments are in some club tournaments, or most schools tournaments, the schools trials, the school selections tournaments, you find that if a player plays 5 games in one tournament, they would play 3 unrated players, and then maybe 2 rated players. And you know, when you're playing against unrated players, you don't get to earn to gain or lose rating. So your rating doesn't change from that particular game. You see what I mean? Unrated players. So now with some players having obviously we know that club tournaments are much cheaper to participate in, to play in. We know that schools trials as well are much cheaper. Some are free in some spaces, but obviously some regions charge for it. But they obviously can charge, but again, not as much as they charge for other tournaments. But that's what is happening. So schools, even in some cases, would cover for those players, will pay for those players who qualify to play in those schools trials. So we get that there are players who are strong, who have had opportunities to play with learn chess are good, but cannot always afford to play in rated tournaments. So now when you have a situation where regions are making tournaments, the tournaments that they deem count for Grand Prix points, and obviously deem necessary for players who want to be selected for future events, must participate in. And those obviously are such events where you find that there is a lot of the rated players that we speak of, right? Because it's most of the players, especially tournaments run by regions, you find that there is most of the players that can afford to come participate in this, or that have played many tournaments before and have ratings. So it's a chance and opportunity for players to gain rating points. So now then you get to have a situation like they have currently in the Western Province, where they have a tournament with a number of sections. But the main sections being that they have an intermediate section, which is for players rated, I think from 1,000 rating points up to, 1,200 and something. And then they've got, and then they go up, obviously, advanced, which is players rated 1,300 and above and so forth. And the advanced section, which is a very strong section. It's a very strong tournament, and obviously I hope to be able to report on it after the tournament has ended. So it's a 2-day event starting on Friday. Now, the details of the event are not particularly important right now. What's important to focus on is the issue. This particular challenge that we're speaking on, right? So basically what's happening right now is that they have that section, and they say that for players who are rated below 1,000 rating points, they cannot participate in. So these 3 sections that I've just mentioned, the advanced, the intermediate section, advanced section, and the open championship sections, are full classic chess play. But then now the other section for players rated below 1,000, they're going to make it a rapid event, which is funny. I'll explain why I think it's a funny thing. They'll make it a rapid event where they are not rated classic but rated rapid. So they've got obviously the 3 sections for those sections for those players who are rated below 1,000, but they don't get to earn a classic rating, standard rating points. They get to earn rapid rating points. And I'm saying it's funny for the following reasons. We all know that, especially if you run tournaments with unrated players, most of them, or the players rated below 1,000, none of their games, very unlikely that they will go on for, like very few of their games will go on for past an hour in total. Like some of the games will be over within 30 minutes for most of these unrated players or most of these lower rated players. So now to call it rapid, it's just kind of, it's because most, again, you'd find that most of the players who are rated below 1,000 are either the under 10s, under 12s, or under 8s even, depending on the strength of the region. You see what I mean? So when that happens and you choose to call that rapid and you don't rate it standard, you just choose to rate it rapid, again, it limits some of those players from being able to gain those points that they need in order for them to move up. That's just my opinion, right? To move up into the intermediate where they get properly rated. When you can, in fact, just call it still maybe an entry level or beginner level, right? And still rated the same way. Because still their games will be finished much quicker than all the other games. They play fast. They don't take time. Obviously, they are mostly beginners, right? But then now, again, that's the situation. But actually, you see from this one issue, there is many issues, a multiple number of issues. So one other issue that arises from that is that when you've got players who are strong enough to be able to beat players in that, in that intermediate section who are rated 1,000 and above, but because they have a rating of 600, because they've only participated in those other events, that means they can't get in those schools events like I mentioned, or club tournaments. That means now they can't come up, right, and play in the intermediate. But they need to play in the intermediate and win maybe those 4 or 5 rounds, and then maybe their ratings will go up after 1-2 tournaments, will be up there within the thousands. You see what I mean? So that's an opportunity for exposure for those players, right? That's one thing. And then second thing, there is the issue of, I don't have wine here because obviously this is a very tricky one, and maybe because I don't have wine as well, but because it's a tricky one, and see, this me to go back, and I wish I was even writing it down just to keep track of what points I've made, so that when I go, I'm able to conclude in each and every one of those points. But if I don't, you still help me, because we're identifying problems and trying to find solutions for everyone, right? So now, second issue. Yes, there's a second issue that arises from there, right? So now players are playing in the group below 1,000, being stronger in most cases than the players who are playing in the who already have the ratings of 1,000, just that they've played more rated tournaments than the other players. See, because it's a matter of where those players get to play. And again, if you're paying for 150 or 100 rand to take part in a tournament and you want to get rated, most of the people pay because they want to get the ratings, right? So they want the opportunity to be rated, and then obviously they get recognized, they get their names out there, like that, in that sense. So with all of these issues that are arising, so I'm identifying now the issue of these players being much stronger. So yes, so as a solution to that problem, as it was obviously presented and everybody understands it, the Federation in this particular case decided to say, okay, so because we normally say it's between 1,000 rated to what is this, to up until say 1,200. But if it happens that you have a player who is below 1,000, they must at least be 900 rated. Then we can allow them to play them. If not that, then that's the second condition that they're providing. Then this player of yours must have won a game against a player rated 1,000 plus within the last 12 months. So coaches, parents would need to prove that in their application for their players to be accommodated in that group now. That very small group of players rated 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,200 plus, right? Yes. So, So if parents if coaches can be able to prove that, then their players can get to move forward and participate in this other other category. Easy, right? It makes sense, right? Of course, it's accommodating. So now the player has to be 900 rated, or if they're not 900 rated, 600, then they need to prove that they have before beaten a player that is that is rated 1,000 plus. Cause apparently the concern from the organizers, the LOC and the executive that took this decision, and we'll come back to that decision again, so I need to remember that part as well, is that they're worried about players, especially the beginners and unrated players, who come in, play a game, and in 3 minutes they've already made 2 illegal moves and they have lost the game. That's depriving the opponent the opportunity to play a full chess game. You see what I mean? That's one point. So now the opponent has been deprived of an opportunity. Though when they come in, they play 2 weak or lower rated players. They don't get to play a full chess game. That means they don't get to learn or improve or test their skill, and they have lost on that. Or secondly, they come in, they play today in a 2-day tournament, like the one that they're having currently, where the first day they lose 2 to 3 of the first games, and then realize, this is not for me. Then they come back, then they don't come back tomorrow, the next day. You see what I mean? So that's something that they normally apparently experience with the unrated players or the much lower rated players who are rated below 1,000. So that's a concern that they decided, okay, in order to deal with such an issue, we need to at least now have a cap on the type of rating. But also, I think one of the positive sides is that they are also looking to provide an opportunity to the players who are rated 1,000 to 200 or to 1,200 to also get an opportunity to gain some proper Grand Prix points. Because again, if you play a 0 rated player, your tournament, your game doesn't get rated, right? But again, to earn some Grand Prix points, you need to have played a certain number of rated games by a certain period. So again, you see what advantage it gives the players who obviously are rated who are higher rated. So now it's in a way protecting their rating and also ensuring that they get to gain some Grand Prix points for them to get invited to your closed or your wildcard events and so forth, right? But then again, with noticing the fact that this is a very crucial decision and the fact that this is something that is happening for the first time in this region, that all along people have known that there is a section which is if you're rated 1,000 and below, or for instance, for players rated 1,200 and below, they'll play in this, for instance, the intermediate section, where they'll obviously be rated standard. And then obviously you see now the gap was much larger now. You see that section always, in fact, accommodated even more players than they did previously. You just take a look at the screenshot, obviously, of the tournament that is showing. You can look at. But then now, again, this is the beginning of the year, and this is the first tournament of the year, especially in that obviously they've had the Masters and another one I think previously. But then this is this is actually the first tournament of this type where they are applying this policy. That's tournament policy in a rule. So now it comes back to me now. It comes back to the issue of governance, of politics, where you ask the question of the special general meetings, AGMs, OGMs, and all that happen in the beginning of the year. Isn't that where certain issues, such challenges are presented to the what do we call it? Are presented to the council of the region? Because now when you're going to make a decision that affects so many, because now even if you didn't believe at the beginning that it would affect so many players or so many coaches, but now you realize that a lot of them obviously feel a certain way about it. Now when you're about to make a decision as an executive board, because obviously executive boards consult with their council, and that is the number of clubs. And in Cape Town, especially in the Western Province, this region, I know they've got a number of clubs that are affiliated and they do things accordingly. Unlike many regions where you'd find that there are no clubs as members, it's just individual members. But such regions which are doing things in the right way, and I think it should dawn on them that before making such a decision, or maybe a decision, any policy change, right, would require that you consult your council. Isn't that the case? Of course, because then now when this decision has been owned, has been made with the involvement of council, it doesn't feel like it's the executive board of non-players, the executive board of people that don't even know or understand the game or what's happening or what we're trying to do, that are trying to change things. Because now when you have consulted with council, which is made up of clubs, and you were voted in by clubs, the council that voted you in, and you make them you involve them in the decision making. You make them own up to the decisions that you're making. Be a part of it. Like, you see what I mean? It becomes, because once that is implemented, everybody's aware of it. And if that one person comes later that was not aware of it because they were not in the meeting or they didn't get the minutes, it's their business. Or you just refer them to that, like, yeah, this is a decision of the council. You can't put it on me, or you can't put it on us as the executive board. It's actually a decision that was taken by all of us as a region, not the executive board. Because I don't think such a decision, especially if it's as big and it involves closing out certain players and obviously protecting other players with certain ratings, when we know that even at the beginning of the year you'll be having new players coming in. Like, for instance, you get a beginner player saying, there's a tournament happening, and they look at the date, very close to the registration date, let me register. And when they get there, they realize, their rating is below 1,000 and they can't play a classic. And they actually wanted to play a classic because they want to have a classic rating. Some bragging rights that go with that, right? We're having a classic rating. So what do we say to that? So you can't have people pointing fingers and saying it is this person that made that decision. You can't have people saying, it is President Burton that made that decision. Or it's Burton's executive that made that decision. They need to at least own up to it as a region, like any club member. Because if a player is coming in through a club, then that club will let them know, no, that's a policy that was taken because we as a region are trying to protect our players' ratings or trying to ensure maximum benefit for players looking to gain some Grand Prix points for them to be invited for the close and so forth and so forth. You see what I mean? But then again, when I speak to President Burton, I find out that there hasn't been any policy, whether presented, made on tournaments. There hasn't been any policy made for the Chess Western Province for the past 30 years. I mean, that's the number 1 region in the country, by my summation. I'm not sure if Tony and Gauteng would wanna, Johannesburg Metro would wanna deny that, but that's the number 1 region in the country, and now you can't have them. Of course, now people are accusing the executive of being discriminatory, of discriminating against certain players. But then now, when you look at it again, that they haven't had a tournament policy for over 30 years, or a tournament policy review for over 30 years, 30 years without a tournament policy review. And it means obviously they are just the new executive, the current executive are just following suit and walking in the same footsteps that everybody else has been walking in. But again, there hasn't been such challenges probably before. Or many players then just decided that we'll just accept this is the new trend, and this is what the new executive feels, we go with what the new executive feels, without any question. But this type of things requires that there's a proper policy set in place, or maybe there's a proper consultation put in place to say, all right, we'll have these number of sessions. Because I'm concerned. Because I was looking at a tournament that is happening, the Roberts is something that is happening in the Tshwane region as well. And it's also crazily concerning. It's much concerning to see that in one tournament that has like 7 sections. There's like the A, B, C, D, E, F, G sections. Like, how much? I mean, I understand with the age groups, right? Like, they can say the under 8 year, under 10 year age groups obviously are some demarcations that obviously come to prepare for other types of events. But that when it's by ratings, sections by ratings, and they've got 7 sections. I mean, I'd always think 3 sections by ratings is enough, or maybe 4 if you've got a lot of many rated players in your region. But to have up to F and G, F even or G, that's crazy. Because then that means you start looking at 600 to 1,000. Because the thing is, below 1,000, I think it doesn't really say much in terms of rating. Below 1,000, it just tells you that the players haven't had enough rated tournaments or rated performances or rated games played. Because I saw in the Bujana district where there was I think it was in the under 12 or even in the under 10, where a player rated less than 1,050 won against a player rated 1,490 something. You see what I mean? Because players get coaching, enough coaching, but not enough tournaments to be played. Because remember, it costs money to play rated tournaments. And obviously, it costs money to get coaching sometimes, but some get the coaching from school. Some learn how to play amongst their friends. They don't have enough, obviously. They don't need to pay for coaching. Some learn among friends, learn on a tree, they learn in clubs, they learn anywhere. But the rated tournaments now with a lot of rated players are so few and in between. And for that reason, I feel like and that's my view, but I feel like to limit the players rated below 1,000. It makes sense if they're all in the same age group. But sometimes you get an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old who's rated 800, but just because they haven't played enough rated tournaments or rated games, in fact. Because they can play rated tournaments, but if they play unrated players, then they only gain for those games that they've played rated opponents against. So you see what I mean? So basically that's one point, right? And that's actually 2 points. But maybe there's many points that you're seeing to this. Maybe there's many factors that you're seeing to this that we're not seeing. Is it fair for those that feel that are left out to feel like they are being discriminated? But of course, there's always discrimination. There has to be, even if they say this is an A section, sometimes they say it's an open section. There's sometimes a female-only section. There's some form of discrimination that is in there. We know discrimination is not always the bad thing. It's just that the word is. But we discriminate. We are sometimes very. So we'll say a BC section is for players rated below 1,400. Or B section for players rated 1,400 and above, without a limit. Then we say A section is open to all. Open to all means you come with your 1,900 rating, you come with your 2,000 rating, you come with your whatever rating, you're fine. Even with your 0 rating or your 600 rating, you are fine. Because you're paying your own money. And that is why even the entry fees are different for these sections. So if you want to play in the prestige section, sometimes you are allowed, it's open, but it's for players rated 14 and above. So those players rated 1,400 cannot play below, they can only play up. Basically, sometimes that's what it is. So you don't normally discriminate against the lower rated players. We normally used to discriminating against the higher rated players so that they don't take advantage of the weaker rated players. But now it seems we have a situation where it is now the higher rated who are being protected from the non-rated and the lower rated. I think that's what makes it seem, because you can't be protecting a rated strong player against a non-rated apparently weaker player. Because if it's going to be an easy win for the stronger player, it's fine. They get to gain that 1 or 2 points and then you move forward. But then now, when players want to advance, they need to come with their small rating and fight against players with a very high, strong rating and compete against them, because to be the best, you've got to beat the best, right? But again, we see the points of people trying to encourage players to improve their ratings until it gets to it. But 1,000, honestly, 1,000 is nothing. I mean, I can train a kid for a week and they play 2 rated tournaments. By the end of the 2 rated tournaments, they'll be definitely rated 1,000. But most players don't get an opportunity to play 2 tournaments and get that proper rating, because in those 2 tournaments, you'd find that only 4 or 5 players that they've played have a proper rating that will give them a proper game. So why close off the lower rated ones? Why protect the higher rated from the lower rated ones? I don't know. Have your say, South Africa. Have your say, community of Chess and Wine. This has been a much longer video than it was meant to be, but yes, we are looking to hear what you have to say about this, and then you can help guide us or guide whatever regions are experiencing some these type of things, or regions that are still looking at formulating their tournament policies, because this would help a lot for tournaments for regions that are planning on modifying their tournament policies. Because obviously, you remember in the interview with coach Ruben Salimu, he mentioned that it's always advisable for players to not play against players who are rated above 200 points. Was it 400? He placed a cap of 400 or more rating points above them. Because if you play a player that is rated 400 points above you, you are definitely more than likely to get discouraged after you lose. You won't even see how you lost, so it won't mean anything to you. So that game won't have value. But that's not the case, I still say, for the players who are below there at 1,000, because they are still all beginners. The player rated 1,000 is still a beginner. Even though here they choose to call them intermediate. But again, I'll put all my perspective and not give you a chance to say your piece. So please say your piece here where everybody can see it. I get it in my inbox. Some opinions need to be shared here in the platform where everybody else can see them. And I also end up taking comments from my WhatsApp inbox or even the Facebook comment section and put them here under my name still as my comments and say so and so commented this. But still, people, please comment under here. I beg of you. And remember to subscribe to the channel, growing the numbers so that we can have more. And I say that and people unsubscribe. Because every time I say, this is it from me, Chess and Wine. Good evening. Subscribe. Be.